Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh Radia, and I'm your host. I always love by starting this podcast by just saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I started this podcast as really, my objective was to really guide people on their spiritual journey, to simplify their overall journey, and the message I receive on a weekly basis. I just love it. I feel so very blessed. The number of people this podcast is reaching. It feels very, very much guided. So thank you for everyone that supported. Thank you for everyone that comments. Thank you for, all the messages we receive, all the clients we get from it. It just feels so, so beautiful and so guided. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Nimesh. Call me whichever name you prefer. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And I love guiding people to truly be authentic and shine their light. I really do feel like we're being pushed spiritually right now to do that. And I love what I get to do. This podcast won't be where it is today without my beautiful co-host. So introducing the stunning, the now published author, healer extraordinaire, Stacey Brown. Stacey, over to you. You know I've got to do that, right?
Yeah, we do this every episode, and every episode I laugh. Hi, everybody. It's good to be back. My name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from around the world. I'm also an Akashic record reader, podcast co-host, and a spiritual coach and mentor. I have a book that I published called Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender, that's available on Amazon and Audible. And I am really looking forward to jumping into this topic today.
So am I. And if you've heard this podcast before, you've heard me talk about, sometimes we pick the topics in advance, but we don't script them. There's nothing, whatever comes through. And so we picked this week's topic episode. Like I said, normally we pick months in advance, but this one felt very appropriate for now. So we changed the schedule. And what we're going to talk about today is discovering your spiritual path and also not walking that path alone. And the reason why this episode topic resonated with us is it really does feel like that's what everybody's going on right now, is truly discovering their spiritual path, going through a rebirth and really shedding so many layers. I mean, if you look at what's going on the planet, if you look at what's happening energetically, everybody's feeling a shift. Everybody's feeling a shift, feeling unbalanced, wanting to know what's coming next, but not meant to know what's coming next. The kind of a rebirth is that you're shedding and you're letting go of the old version of yourself and truly empowering this new version. And that's why with this episode felt really appropriate. It felt like a nice time to talk about kind of discovering your spiritual path, because the more that we can let go during this phase and just truly trust what's next, the easier it's going to be. The more that we get caught in the noise that the planet's going to go through and everything else, and we let that consume us, the more difficult it's going to get. And the spiritual journey really can feel lonely. Bear in mind that we're a soul having a unique human experience. So we are all part of a collective, which is such a, the paradox, right? It's that we're all part of a collective. So in theory, we're all one, right? We're all energetically, we're all part of one. There's a oneness around, but actually we're still a soul having a human experience. So that means the collective is important, but also our individual experience is also important. But nobody's going to fully understand what we're going through because it is a unique experience. So that's the weird thing. We feel, we've talked about before, there's a big difference between feeling alone and feeling lonely. And I've experienced it, Stacey's experienced it, this spiritual journey can be incredibly lonely. But also, if you're open to it, you can truly find souls who are not going to fully understand your journey, but who can hold your space, or you can have a conscious conversation with, who maybe you almost channel through and channel with because they're holding your space. It doesn't mean they fully understand what you're going through, because you're still unique. But you still can get the help from a community, from an individual, if you're open to the magic of it. So if you're feeling disconnected, and I know a lot of people are right now, if you're feeling lonely, because I know a lot of people are right now, maybe it's time for you to truly, one, take time to connect with the energies and vibrations around you. Two, to look for communities. And three, maybe look for new souls to help you guide you along this path. It just really does feel like a shift. And, we're recording this just before the next eclipse, the next new moon. So by the time you hear this, you would have experienced the new moon, the next eclipse, which again feels like another big shift. So if you're feeling this shift inside you, know that everybody's feeling it. And this is part of the journey of what this rebirth, what this evolution of the planet looks like. So be present for it. And I'm really hoping this episode guides you and helps you to understand you're not really alone. Stacey, when I said to you, kind of embracing your spiritual path and how lonely it can be, how does that make you feel?
It's interesting because it resonates with me so deeply. I absolutely felt very alone and isolated as I was going through my spiritual journey. And for me, it was always divine timing when I received that support that I needed. And for me, it came in various forms. It wasn't necessarily just, a friend in a conscious conversation, but it was me finding a mentor who could relate to what I was going through and who could help guide me through the process. And it's scary when you're going through a spiritual awakening and you feel like the rug has been pulled out from under you and you don't know what to do, where to turn. And it could be your life circumstances changing, right? It might be that you've ended a relationship or you've transitioned with your job, and all of a sudden it's bringing up something deeper in you. And that's what it was for me. I absolutely felt that I was struggling with my son, deeply struggling with my son and his mental health and his addiction. And I knew that there was something more that I was meant to be doing, but I didn't know exactly what that looked like. And at exactly the time where I was struggling with what to do and what's next, I had a woman come into my life who acted as a guide and helped me figure out what next steps to take. And I don't know what I would have done without her because so much of the season was new for me and unfamiliar and challenging. And I remember one of the first conversations I had with her, Nims, and she was like, you don't have to feel this way. And I remember thinking, what way? Like, what do you mean I don't need to feel this way? And what she meant was I didn't need to feel all alone. I didn't need to navigate through the process by myself. And when I realized that I didn't have to do that by myself was when I really started to open up and go on a deep journey of self-discovery. And it took somebody coming up alongside of me to make it not so scary before I was actually ready to do the process. And for me, to this day, it has still been one of the most powerful relationships I've had because it changed everything for me. Everything. It changed the way I was showing up in the world. It changed the dynamic of my relationships. It changed the way I was handling things with my son. It changed everything. So for me, this topic is powerful because it hits so close to home.
I love it. I love it. And there's so many elements to this, right? There is, it is, when you're going through a spiritual awakening, for me, spiritual awakening is a lifetime thing, but there's parts of your life that are accelerated and you go deeper. When you're going through that, it really does feel like you're going through on your own, that nobody truly understands. And it's really the most isolating time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the time that you expand and you learn so much more about yourself. And, finding a community that understands you is a big part of it. And, looking for podcasts. I get the message on this podcast all the time that I have found this podcast at the perfect time. And I love how this podcast also guides people on their journey and they find it when they need it most. And so that truly inspires me. And, in terms of, working with a mentor, I think back to my first connection with Sidra and, those that if you haven't heard this podcast before, Sidra was my mentor, my guide, and she inspired this podcast. Her initials were SJ, Sidra Jeffrey, and I call this podcast Spiritual Journey after her. She passed away in a fire, aged only 30 years old, in March 2020. And in many ways, she pushed me to learn how to read the Akashic records. And I remember the first time when I met her, it was actually, it was an ex. It was actually my ex-fiance from quite a few years ago. And she went to see her. She's like, I really want to go to this weekend program. I really want to see her or whatever. I was like, yeah, do it. Why not, right? And, after the first day, she rang me. She's like, you really need to meet Sidra. I was like, okay, I'll go next time she has. And so next time I went, she was, of course, I felt a connection. She felt a connection. I went to see her and said, look, I really want to work with you. And she's like, yeah, I have these programs. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I want to work with you one-to-one. And she was trying to convince me to sign all these programs. And in the end, she's like, okay, I agree. Let's do one-to-ones. And this is where the journey started. And, she was, as she evolved and as I evolved, we became, she definitely mentored me. She pushed me in ways that I couldn't, it accelerated my journey, let me put it that way. But also feel like I was there for her. So everything's always a co-creation. For me, working with the mentor is a soul contract. And I knew when I met Sidra that there was a soul contract. And we were meant to work together. And that was why it was so weird for me when she left this realm, when she passed away. I was like, well, hold on, I know our soul contract's not complete. But that's the beauty of this journey is I've now discovered that she's one of my guides. So she continues to be that guide on the other realm. That doesn't mean I don't have people who can push me, who can expand me, who can guide me on the human realm. But it's beautiful when you open yourself up to the support you get from the other realms as well as the human realm. And that's the beauty of this journey. It's a paradox, i.e. part of it you are meant to do on your own. I know that I've expanded a lot on my own. But I also know with all the people we work with that when you've done so much work and you've gone so deep and you felt so much pain, there comes to a period where you know you're ready for acceleration. And working with a mentor, working with us, whichever way you pick, it doesn't mean that things are going to get easy. It means that you start to understand your path. It means that you start to go on an accelerated journey of truly discovering who you are. And a mentor can hold your space as you go through that upgrade, as you go through that change. Because you're meant to experience the changes, right? You're meant to experience whatever you're going through. So, but a mentor can hold your space, can give you intuitive tips, can give you methods to truly accelerate. And I know I won't be here today without Sidra's help, without her guidance, without her watching over me. I still feel she guides this podcast in whatever way and just watches over it. I truly believe that she guides clients to us and to me. So I feel very, very blessed with this journey. And I love what we get to do, Stacey. I love that we get to kind of truly connect with people's souls and to guide them to shine a light. It's so beautiful to see when somebody's truly shining and truly, and let's be honest, the program that we do should come with health warning because it does go deep. It really does bring things. It brings up deep programming, not just in this lifetime, but also previous. But I really feel that it's only those people that are ready to work with us, that are ready to go deep, that come to us. And for me, this episode isn't about necessarily just working with us. It's about recognizing that the journey you're on may feel lonely, but if you truly tapped into your energy, you can, one, recognize there's guides around you. Two, there's communities that can help and support. Three, if you're ready to work with a mentor, then find one that resonates with the heart. It's a soul contract. Whether it's us or whether it's somebody else, it really does feel like a time where people need that support because there's such a big shift that's happening inside. This shift has been planned from my perspective for centuries, i.e. the shift from the masculine to the feminine, which is all about the spiritual. It's all about connecting with your gifts. For me, it's a beautiful time, but it's also going to be a very turbulent time. So why don't you try and get the help? Why don't you look for the communities around you? Why don't you consider getting a mentor or a guide? Truly be open to the magic around you. How does that feel, Stace?
Yeah, I mean, and like you're saying, Nimesh, it's not necessarily just getting a mentor. It's about connecting with community and feeling the support of others who are on the journey with you. And they might not be in the exact same circumstances. Their circumstances might be slightly different, but the goal is the same, and that is to be more connected and to feel that presence of your angels and guides around you. So I think that this is multifaceted. This is us talking about how lonely the journey can be and the different avenues that you can take in order for it to not be so lonely and isolating. And it wasn't until I went through it that I understood how isolating it could be. That's the other thing. When you're going through it, that's when you really realize, like, oh shit, this is hard. You know what I mean? Like, this is challenging to face alone. And when you have that oh shit moment, that's when you want to reach out and see what support there is. And we offer support in a variety of ways. If it's not us that you resonate with, find somebody that you do. But the point is that it doesn't have to be that hard. You don't have to do it alone. And I think for me, I just felt divinely guided every single time I was going through another challenge. I felt like there was somebody there to scoop me up and help me navigate through that challenge so that I didn't have to do it alone. And so I would say the other part of this is being open to signs, being open to the signs when you are led in a certain direction, being open to recognizing when the universe is trying to support you, when your angels and guides are placing people before you that you resonate with, that you feel connected with. Explore that connection, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why we do free discovery calls, is because we want people to explore the connection they have with us without the financial commitment, but rather to see what is this that I feel? Is this real? And is there something I need to do about it?
Yeah, it's a really good point. If anyone does resonate with this message and does resonate with our voices, then sure, book a free discovery call. We can take you through what we do. And if it resonates, we can continue this journey. And it is really interesting. It's like, and again, I'd encourage our listeners, just take a step back and look at your life and look at the most challenging periods. And what did you learn from that period? Was there anyone that naturally came into your life that guided you? And what are you going through right now? And are you open to that guidance? Because, I shouldn't say even for me, but even this period for me has been really challenging too, right? This period between, the last full moon and the eclipses and everything else that's been going on. Everybody's been feeling emotional, right? And I've been feeling the emotion of the planet. And there are times when I do look and I wonder, well, what would my life be like if Sidra hadn't left this realm, right? And it's just, of course, humanly, I miss her. But it also made me realize I was playing safe. I was waiting for her. And this is the good thing about working with a mentor is they push you. You can't hide behind them. And it's just a beautiful, it's always a co-creation. Anyone that I work with, I know I expand through the work I'm doing with that person because it's a co-creation. It's a soul contract I have with that person to work with. But at the same time, I'm learning something from them. It's just so beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love the people that I get to talk to and expand and meet. It's just so beautiful. I guess the other things to mention that we already mentioned is the community aspect, right? And look for communities and look for places where you don't feel so alone. And this could be an online community, but also look for maybe a meditation circle around you, or maybe look for areas that you can also try to shine your light. And by the way, we have a monthly Zoom call, right? We have a monthly Zoom call, which is free. It's the next one's going to be on October 17th, which is the full moon. And it's a powerful time. And it's a powerful call we have once a month. We try and do it around the full moon time, but it's normally mid-month. And we open the Akashic records. We do a guided meditation. We have conscious conversation. It's our way of giving back. Maybe that's a great way to start truly understanding what me and Stacey do at a different level. Obviously, this podcast is powerful. The Zoom call is just, you get to experience us at a more of a one-to-one personal level. Yes, it's a group, but you get to see our faces. This is just a different energetic shift. So, if you're looking for a conscious community just to listen in on and kind of share where you're going through, that's a great place to start. And, but again, I mean, for me, this podcast is about choosing to be mentored by us or joining our Zoom call. It is, if you're listening to this podcast, to help you understand that you're not alone. It may feel lonely, it may feel isolating, because the shift that you're going through, the communities around you, for a lot of people, don't resonate anymore. Because you've gone through rebirth, you're a different person than you were before. So that's why it feels so isolating, that the people around you that you felt so connected with, that have brought you to this place, and this person you are today, because you've shifted so much, they don't resonate with you anymore. So it's like you feel isolated, you feel lonely, because you've gone through much that you don't resonate with the old version of you. So you're a new version, and therefore the people don't always resonate. This is also a phase where so much is ending. This is where you really got to consider the souls in your life and ask, hold on, do I still have a soul contract with that person? Is my time with the person complete? Because you've also got to create space in your life for new energies, new vibration. And if you're holding on to the old version of you, then it's not serving. This phase that we're going through, this shift we're going through, is so multifaceted, and it was all planned. And you always got to remember that your soul chose to be here. So whatever you're going through is expanding you in some kind of way. But when you realize that actually the community you have around you isn't serving you, that's when you've got to actively look for new communities, new spaces, new people. And sure, look for a mentor, look for a guide, because you're going through such a shift. And if you're doing it on your own, I honestly, this phase, and I've always had people like Stacey who show up when I need it most, and that's because I'm open to new vibrations, new energies, new coming into my life, because they come in where they need it most. But this is where I'd encourage you to really look at your community, look at your energy, look at your surroundings, and ask yourself, hold on, is it nurturing me? Is it holding me up? Or do I need to really make a shift? What's your community been like, Stace, as you go through all these shifts?
It's interesting because I think about the community that we've developed, and I don't know where I would be without them. I mean, I look forward to our monthly Zoom call and the connection that we have with people. And I really do hold so much value in community and feeling like a part of something. And it's interesting because you can feel that feeling and feel frustrated that there's not support, which is kind of how I think we felt. And so we created the community. We decided we were tired of waiting around for one, and why not create one? And now we have people that join from all around the world for our Zoom call. And it surpasses distance and situational stuff. And everybody comes from their own walk of life into that space with the same intention to connect. And I don't know what I would do without the community. I spend a lot of time alone, and I'm grateful for the time that I have alone. I'm grateful for the lessons that I'm learning. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have to establish my independence. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I know that community is really important. I know that I need that space. I know that I need that sounding board. I know that getting a group of like-minded individuals together can be a game changer. It really can impact the way that we process things when we have a space where other people are processing similar things, or we take the time to have that connection. And for me, that connection has been powerful even now. I don't think we ever get to a point where we don't need a mentor, or we don't need a guide, or we don't need community. And I want to be really clear in saying that. I'm still hungry for it. I'm still hungry for that connection. I still long for the the ability to grow and expand. And I don't think that that ends until our life is over, right? That hunger and that need. And so I would say that it's something that I chase in a good way, right? Because I know what it does for me and how it lifts my soul to be around other people who are going through similar things.
That's so, so true. And for me, it's always about balance. I do love the time with me. I do love because it allows me to expand and sit with my guides and sit with the energies around me. But also, I love the time with loved ones. I love the time with spending time with people that expand me, that allow me to hold communities that allow. It just, yeah, I really want that balance. This is why I'd encourage the listeners, just what kind of balance do you have in your life? I love spending time with me, and I feel it's important that we get used to spending time with ourselves and kind of get comfortable with it. Because if you're not comfortable spending too much time on your own, that means there's stuff inside you that you haven't necessarily released because that time on your own sometimes brings it up. But of course, there's going to be times when you want people, you want loved ones around you. And, I have the blessing of a beautiful extended family, and I feel their love. But they don't always understand the spiritual side of me. So it's that you've got to look for communities that nurture you in the way that you need nurturing. And I don't know one person who hasn't felt really lonely at times over the past few months, really felt a shift, really felt disconnected to their old life. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I look back, Stacey, at the time that we found Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse is a social audio app. It's a space where you can go on stage and you can speak if you wish. I found that in 2020 during lockdown, and without Clubhouse, there was no way for me to have a conscious conversation. So it's really interesting for me how the universe, if you're open to it, will deliver certain things in certain ways. And by the way, if you want to hear us on Clubhouse, we're on Clubhouse every Tuesday. We also spend time on Chatter, which is another new social audio app, on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m., different spiritual topics. I guess it's just our way of giving back to whichever different platform that works, right? We're just trying different things. But the other part of this is also, we talked a lot about creating community, working with mentors and guides. For me, this phase is also a lot about connecting with your spiritual guides, connecting with the energies and the vibrations around you, connecting with your gifts. And, we all have a set of spiritual guides that are soul picked. And every soul that's chosen to be here on the planet right now is chosen to be here because of what the planet is going through, i.e. your soul picked to be here this time. So, and for me, if you listen to this podcast, it means that in some way you're going through some sort of awakening, some sort of rebirth. And you do have gifts, you do have guides. And the first thing I'll say about connecting with your gifts is, sometimes we focus on the modalities, kind of, I'm a Reiki master or an Akashic record reader, Akashic master, whatever you want to call it, or, I'm a tarot reader. For me, those are all modalities. And you can learn those modalities, of course. And, for me, I have all these modalities. When I'm working with people, I just pick the modality that feels right. And obviously, I love Akashic Records. It's just guided me in such a way. But they're all modalities. Always remember you are the gift. Your energy, your vibration, whatever you bring on this planet is a gift. Whoever's in your life, it's a gift for them. When you walk into a room, what do you feel vibrationally? You're a gift, you're an energy because you've shifted whatever the vibration of that room is. And again, there's probably people listening saying, well, he's talking about somebody else, not me. No, I'm talking to you. You are the gift. And the thing is that when you start truly working on yourself, whether it's a mentor, community, whatever, you start to realize that you have been going on this journey and maybe you've been running away from your gifts. Maybe it's time to truly embrace who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd always recommend when you start working with your gifts is start trusting your intuitive abilities. What are you getting through your instincts? What are you getting through your intuition? When you're talking with somebody, when you're connecting with them, what are you truly feeling? Switch on my think to I feel. Switch on my think to I feel. That activates something different in you. It starts to help you to understand that you have energies and vibrations around you. And maybe that activates something different in you because you're truly opening up to what do you feel? Because sometimes we run away from our gifts because maybe we're bringing past life trauma, maybe we're holding on to things, maybe something happened to us as a child and made us to stop using our gifts. But once we activate the gifts again, that opens up to a whole different world of change. The more resistance you have to your gifts, the harder it becomes. So this phase for me is also about people activating the gifts. And again, we love guiding people to their gifts, and it's part of what we do. We do also Akashic training. There's so many different ways to connect with your gifts. But again, I would always trust your soul, trust your heart. Because sometimes we learn things because we just, oh my God, if once I learn this, once I become a Reiki master, then things will get better. It's not about waiting for anything. It's about you activating you. It's about you living in the moment. We all have portals on our hands, right? We all, which are energetic, which are healing. Some are more guided towards that than maybe tarot readers or Akasha readers, whatever, right? So learn the modalities you're drawn to from a heart and a soul level. But always know that your adaptation, your ability, your aura, your energy is the gift. Because these human labels that we've been into is just, your soul already knows how to do Reiki. Your soul already knows that maybe Reiki is a human term, but your soul already knows that your hands are portals. You already, it's like if you're a tarot reader, where does that information come from? You can do lots of research on it, but once you've been practicing for a while, it's intuitive. Yes, you have knowledge that humanly you've gone, but also there's an instinct, there's an emotion, there's a intuition that you also share when you open the tarot. So it really is, once you accept that you have gifts and your energy or vibration is naturally healing, then things start to shift. The other thing to always consider is, look, we're always three things. We're carer, teacher, healer. And I remember one conversation with Sidra when she said, once I accept I'm a healer, life will become easy. And I looked at her and I was like, what do you mean? Because I always thought, as a coach, as a mentor, I always thought I was a teacher. And she said, no, once you accept you're a healer, then, she was right. So of course I'm all three, right? I'm a carer, I'm a teacher, but actually I accepted I'm a healer. So let me ask you as you're listening, which one of the three resonates the most? If I say carer, if I say teacher, if I say healer, which one of those three words touches your soul the most? Maybe that's something to explore. So Stacey, if I say to you, carer, teacher, healer, which one resonates the most?
Healer, for sure. And always has, which is so interesting because I feel like I still have so much healing to do, but we can do both. We can be a healer and be healing. We can be a teacher and still be learning. We can be a carer and still need nurturing. Those things can coexist. And I think so many people say, I can't be a healer. I have too much healing to do. I have work to do on myself. That's great. That's great that you still have work to do on yourself, because as long as you have air in your lungs, you are still developing. You are still progressing. You are still experiencing a human experience. And with that means you can be a healer and be healing. But I absolutely resonate with healer the most. I would like to think that I'm a carer and a teacher as well. But the idea that I'm helping other people in the way that I am resonates with me the most deeply, in that I feel like I'm on my healing journey and I'm living by example, openly and authentically, and giving people permission to do the same. And I think that's a very healing space to be in.
I love it. And then she mentioned something really important, and that is we're all on this healing journey. I mean, no judgment, and again, just my view, but if anyone says they're fully healed, there's kind of a little smile on my face, because for me, this healing, as you say, is the healing journey is a lifetime thing, right? The way I look at it is I'm a student for life. So it means that anything I'm experiencing is an opportunity for me to learn and to grow. And it means that if I'm triggered by something, I'm still human, I'll still get triggered. But if I can look at it as a student and really sit with it and say, okay, what am I learning? What did I learn through this experience? maybe then I get to integrate much quicker. And, this is the other thing, is to always realize, if you watch people on social media and you think, oh my God, this person's got it all together, and that's how I want to work with them and stuff. It's just, sometimes what we share with the world is just a story, just an image. This is why when you're trying to work out who to work with, always trust your heart and soul. Because healers need healing too. Everybody's going through something. I really feel like, the path that we've chosen, I know I've talked to Stacey about this all the time, is we as guides, as mentors, we're meant to experience things at a deeper level so we can guide others. And I really believe, again, a lot of listeners of this podcast are our mentors, our guides, which is why you experience things at such a deep level, because you're meant to guide others. So this is what you've chosen. This is the path that you've chosen, to truly guide and help others. And I know sometimes that can be frustrating, right? That can be like, well, why did I choose this path? You chose it because you can go through it, and you're going through it for a reason, and you're meant to use your experience to help and guide others. Such a beautiful time if you're open to it. Such a beautiful time, and I get it's. The reason why this felt really appropriate is, for me, the next few months, the next few years, there is such a massive energetic shift. There's going to be such a shift on this planet. And for those that truly decide and activate the healing side of them and kind of accelerate the spiritual journey, I really do feel it'll be more ease and grace. Doesn't mean there's a quick fix. It doesn't mean that you won't go through it, but it does mean that maybe you can truly activate. And the other thing I feel that's happening right now is so many of us are being activated as light workers, as healers, because of what's happening on the planet. Mm-hmm. And what we're meant to do is we're meant to be the guide, the bridge. We talked about this in the last one of the previous episodes, where we're meant to be the bridge. So you activating yourself as a healer, as a carer, as a teacher, is you shining the light so you truly understand why you're here, but also you start to guide other people by your light. Such a beautiful time if you choose to embrace it. The other thing I wanted to touch upon is our guides, and I really feel this is another time to truly start connecting with our guides, the energies, the vibrations around us. And I know a lot of people get frustrated. It's like, because they hear other people and they start to compare, and like, oh, I'd really want to build a connection with my guides. I really want to see them. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. Just your connection with your guides, your journey to connect with your guides is very personal. It's very, very, very different for every individual. Some people see, some people hear, some people feel. Mm-hmm. It's just the different ways that, and just because right now you feel doesn't mean that in the future you're not going to see. It's just how things develop. But again, I would always encourage you to start trusting your instincts, your intuition. If you feel something, that if you can start to truly trust what you feel and take action on what you feel rather than what you think, that's such a beautiful way to truly start connecting to the vibrations and energies around you. And then from there, just notice the energies and the vibrations around you at all times. What do you feel? Just maybe occasionally just close your eyes and just ask, what do I feel around me? Mm-hmm. Again, we look for names for our guides and we don't always get names. I know for my guides, I've asked them names and I get something back I can't even repeat. So yes, you can give them names. You can give them. I mean, I know two of my guides. One's my dad and one's Sidra. So vibrationally, I understand them. But again, vibrationally, my dad's very different on the other side than he was in this realm. So it's just we have to realize that our connection with our guides, it's like a relationship. It's a co-creation. They need to understand how to work with you, just like you need to understand how to work with them. So sometimes you've got to ask. Sometimes you've got to truly connect with it. So Stacey, I'm just thinking of doing a quick process where we guide people to truly feel the energies around them. And how do you feel about that?
I was thinking that that's what was going to happen. So that's great.
All right. So yeah, let's do this and just be open to feeling whatever you feel. And just such a simple thing you can do on your own. So if you're in a position to, please just close your eyes. And if you're not positioned, obviously keep your eyes open, but just if you're driving, concentrate on what you're doing. But if you're in a position to, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. And from here, just feel your center. Connect with your heart. Connect with your soul. Just breathe in and breathe out. And as you do that, just feel the air coming into you. And from here, just feel the energy and the vibration around you. What do you feel? I call in our guides. I call in our soul families. I call in all ascended masters, any archangels, any higher level beings, any ancestors, any past lives that are here to support us. I call in to you to come closer, to magnify the energy you're sending us, magnify the love you're sending us. I ask us to open our hearts, be open to receiving messages in whatever form they come. And just from here, I really ask you to concentrate. What do you feel? Maybe you feel a tingle, maybe you feel hotter, colder, maybe you feel a vibration, maybe you feel the love they're sending you, maybe you feel like a warm hug. But just allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to truly feel the energy, the vibration around you. Tap into it. If there's anything intuition-wise that's coming through to you, then trust what that is. I ask our guides to magnify any messages and ask us to be open to receiving the messages now, but also to receive them over the coming days. I ask us to be open to receiving the messages in so many different ways, maybe through intuition, maybe through conversations with friends, maybe through watching something, maybe through our dreams. I ask us to be open to receive. I thank our guides. I thank all the support. I understand that this can be a lonely existence, but if we truly opened ourselves to the magic, maybe we can feel the magic inside and around us. Thank you for allowing me to facilitate this. You can now open your eyes and just be present. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How is that for you, Stacey?
Really good, very connective. I mean, I felt like we were going to do a process today for sure. And I think it's so good when we kind of just go with what we feel on this podcast, and whatever direction we feel called to, we take that direction. None of this is scripted. I know that might be hard to believe, but we don't script anything we do. And I felt intuitively we were going to go to this place, and I'm glad we did.
Love it. I love it. And just for our listeners, that's such a simple thing to do. So I'd encourage you, maybe setting a reminder on your phone or something. You just a few times a day, just feel the energy and the vibration around you. It's a muscle. And if you start to feel the different energies, maybe you start to feel your guides differently. Build that muscle. What do you feel around you? And be open to feeling something different. You might not always get a name. Don't concentrate at the beginning on receiving messages. Concentrate on just feeling what you're feeling. And that opens a different connection to you along the way. I guess for me, the message from this podcast is really to realize you're not on your own. There are some things that you need to experience on your own, of course. You expand, you learn, you go through things, and then when you go through them, that's part of your expansion. But also, if you look for communities out there like ours, join our Zoom call. If you're looking for guidance as a mentor, then look for one. If our voices resonate, reach out, book a free discovery call. We'd love to connect. We love what we do. But I always encourage you to find that mentor. And if you're financially struggling, then join free communities like ours. The Zoom call's free. We don't charge anything. It's our opportunity to give back. But there's also other communities available. There's probably meditation circles around you, and look for those communities, but also be open to your circle changing, because you're shifting. You're going through a shift, and this is what happens: is when we work on healing ourselves, our vibration, our energy increases, and it means that those around us, we set that example, and maybe they increase their vibration to or they don't. And there's no right or wrong, but actually when they choose not to, for us still to be in that vibration, we have to lower our vibration to be with them, be near them. Mm-hmm. So choose wisely and really ask yourself and challenge yourself, are the connections in my life still serving me? And be open. And this shift that's happening right now is all about closing cycles. It's all about rebirth and closing cycles and really introducing and growing into new ones. And obviously, your self-care routine right now is so important. Time in nature, time in meditation, time doing physical activity. And again, the practice I said about feeling the energies around you, doing nature is even better. I don't know where you are in the world. I'm in London and it's starting to rain like crazy. So yes, but sometimes I'll go in the rain and I'll just feel what I feel. And, so you get wet. It's not the end of the world. So, there's so much beauty out there. But if you spend your time alone, but actually feeling sorry for yourself, then what you focus on expands, and that's what you attract. And if you spend time on your own and, time in meditation, time being centered, time to connect with your guides, beautiful. But find balance, find communities, but also find time for you to spend on yourself. It's so important to find balance right now. So Stacey, as we start closing out this episode, is there anything you want to share that we may have missed? And I'm going to ask you for some journal prompts too.
Shocker.
Just for a change,
So, I think the first thing that I would encourage our listeners to do is grab your journal and ask yourself the question, where am I getting my support? Where are you getting your support? Where are you turning to fill your cup up? And see what comes up. Do you have a community? Do you have a support system? Do you have connections that inspire you and that bring you to a space of understanding yourself better? If you don't, then I encourage you to do some manifesting and write about what it would look like to have that community or that support if it was already in place. What would that look like? Would you be a part of a group? Would you have a mentor? What does that look like for you? And let's do some manifesting. When you're manifesting, you're connecting with the energy of what you want to happen as if it already exists. So you want to talk about this in your journaling in the present tense, as if the community or the mentor or whoever already exists, and write about what that would look like. How would that change your life? And then ask yourself, what would it look like if these steps were already in place? What would it look like for my healing journey to have that support? Because it is powerful when you feel like you are not alone going through something, especially when it comes to the spiritual realm.
Powerful, powerful stuff. And I guess the final bit of advice I'd give is be really conscious about what you're feeding yourself. And what I mean by that is not just the food you eat, but also what are you watching? What are the conversations you're having? There's so much, and I feel like it's going to increase with the news and everything else. There's going to be so much noise, so much crisis, so much. And of course, send love to wherever there's crisis and, kind of send as much healing energy and do what you feel you need to, but don't let the news consume you. If you check in with yourself and check in and say, just ask, how much is my focus inside and how much is my focus outside? If your focus is outside, then what you're doing is you're escaping from the internal work that you need to do. And it's not selfish to do the internal work, because when you do the internal work, your light becomes so much brighter. You can help so many more people. So actually, when you do the internal work, your light becomes brighter, and you can shine your light so much. And so don't feel guilty if all of a sudden you start to focus internally instead of externally, because there's so much noise. Stacey, I'm sending you so much love and light. Thank you for sharing this space with me. Thank you for all our listeners. Sending so much love and light out. Be kind to yourself during this phase. Stacey, I'm going to hand over to you to close that.
Thank you so much for another powerful episode, Nims. I don't know how we got here, but it has been such an incredible journey. And I'm loving this process and being able to be so open with people. Thank you to our listeners. We're so grateful for you, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you, Stacey. Bye for now.